The next thing I'm about to say, we all know is true, even though we don't all like to admit that it exists. Privilege is a real thing. And while there is absolutely forms of privilege that exist that have nothing to do with your own individual skill, abilities, performance, privilege exists, and especially greatness privilege exists. So everyone's taking their chance today to swing at Aaron Rodgers, and he did an interview that he normally does on the Pat McAfee show, and everyone's going at him for him going, I didn't know anything about the Robert Saleh decision. I was totally blindsided. And well, yeah, the guy who was immunized, not vaccinated, the guy who decided, hey, I'm going to take a trip to Egypt and not tell anybody, the guy who's basically become a conspiracy theorist and part-time quarterback, that guy's probably hard to trust. And no, do I think that he knew absolutely nothing about the Robert Saleh firing? No, I don't believe that. But it's everyone's taking their turn today to kick him. He's a liar. He's a bad teammate. There's guys who we would not normally talk about who are now being brought up and saying, well, yeah, I talked to this one wide receiver who played for the Packers 10 years ago, and he said A-Rod was a horrible teammate. Man, he said he was a jerk. You have Jason McIntyre, who works with Colin, who's going, who's been all Jets, all A-Rod. Oh my gosh, Rodgers is so great. Oh my gosh, Rodgers is the savior. Another guy on FS1, Craig Carton, who's been, oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers is the savior. Aaron Rodgers is so great. Have been singing his praise for the whole offseason and all of last year, even though he was hurt. And now they're even turning on him. Listen, we might not like it because we're just simply not able to do some of the things these pro athletes can. Can't do a lot of the things they can, actually. And one of the things they get to do when they're great, even amongst the other great players, they get away with stuff. Again, this has now happened 2 seasons in a row where, and it does not matter the personality, Russell Wilson, when he was putting up Hall of Fame level stats, was on track to be in the Hall of Fame, was winning Super Bowls, getting to Super Bowls, putting up 4,000-yard seasons for the Seattle Seahawks. No one was worried about his personality. No one was saying he's super corny. Even if he was winning and he was being productive, so we didn't care. That's the privilege of greatness. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's probably been to this level of teammate, good or bad, the entirety of his career. When he's winning MVPs, he's throwing for 4,500 yards. He's setting all these records for touchdowns, interceptions. He's the free play king. Nobody cares. Even go to the highest level. Tom Brady, the greatest we've ever seen. Just this, and this is just only because he's had time removed. There were Buccaneers players complaining about Tom Brady, the way he acted in Tampa. That he was overbearing, it was always stressful. And even Baker came out and said, look, yeah, I kind of agree with him. It probably is. It was stressful. It was hard. It wasn't a fun environment. And Baker's more laid back, and Baker's more this. And Tom said, look, I was trying to win. I wanted to win. If I wanted to have fun or relax, I'd take my kids to Disneyland. And he's right. And when you are great, like Russell Wilson in his prime, when you are great like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, when you are the greatest ever like Tom Brady, you get away with that stuff. That's not just in football, that's in all sports. And really, I don't mind. I don't have any agenda or any care to really defend Aaron Rodgers. He's never played on a team that I've rooted for. While I've enjoyed watching him play, I've never been a super fan of the player. So everybody kicking his Aaron's back in today really doesn't move me. I just don't like the dishonesty that we're all now suddenly shocked and appalled by the way that he's acted. When this has probably been his behavior his entirety of his career, he's just not as good as he once was. And say what you want about privilege. And it does exist. And it's there. And again, nobody really loves the privilege that is just because of how you were raised or how you look. But when you have the privilege of greatness, me personally, I'm much more willing to concede that when you are great, you are productive, you are contributing something at a much higher level than the average person can, then yeah, we're gonna let a couple things slide for you. You don't maybe have to be the nicest guy in the world. Would it be great if you were? Obviously. But maybe you don't have to be the greatest teammate if you're the most talented thrower of the football we've ever seen. Maybe you don't have to be the coolest guy in the room or be great in the locker room if you're getting Seattle to its first Super Bowl win in franchise history. You don't have to be fun and entertaining and laid back if you're Tom Brady and you're winning 7 Super Bowls. So again, privilege is real, and the privilege that comes with greatness, let's not act like we don't all endorse it. We don't all allow for it. Because Packer fans, you weren't complaining in 2011. You weren't complaining a few years ago when he won his 4th MVP. Jets fans weren't complaining when he started the season, even though he only lasted 4 plays, and they got to spend the whole year going, man, we're so close, we're just Aaron Rodgers away. Bucks fans, you didn't complain when you were holding up the trophy. Seattle fans, you weren't complaining when Russ was winning a Super Bowl and getting to a second one. Privilege exists. But again, I would much rather the privilege of greatness, which Aaron Rodgers has been great. He's a 4-time MVP. He's accomplished pretty much everything you can do in the NFL. Am I the biggest fan of him? No, of course not. But let's not act like he just woke up today and was this person. He's been this person. Moving on from the NFL to, I love this. Baseball does not get a lot of time to shine, especially in opening blocks of the show. But there's a lot going right with the baseball playoffs. We are getting upsets. We're getting exciting series. We're getting exciting games. The Tigers are doing pitching chaos. Shohei Ohtani's hitting home runs. The Dodgers-Padres are going back and forth. Feels like a real rivalry. There's a lot to love right now about the current state of Major League Baseball's playoffs. What I don't love, and this is typical fans. Fans will find a way to ruin anything, even when a sport is at its high point. And this is the current high point for baseball that it's been in probably several years. Now, fans, some of which I may or may not live with, are complaining about the length of the series of the divisional round and the wild card round. That why should 162 games come down to just 2 losses and you're out? Here's the reality, fans. You will complain regardless. So we're not going to make rules to circumvent all complaining. We're just going to go with the most effective and efficient and the most exciting. We're not here to care about your complaining. If you're the better team, win the game. We complained we got a wild card game. And what did we do? We complained that your season's over in 1 game. Now there's a wild card round, and we complained that your season is over in 2 games. And now, Dodger fans, they're playing the Padres. Dodgers have the bigger payroll. They have the best players. They have everything to their advantage, home field. And there's Dodger fans today complaining that it's not fair that it's only a 5-game series, not a 7. Oh, we beat them in a 7. Well, if you're that much better, beat them in a 5 or shut up. If you're that much better, stop letting Fernando Tatis homer every other at bat. If you're that much better, have your pitcher get through 5 innings without giving up 5 runs. At some point, this is professional sports. This is not Little League. This is not the minor league. This is not watching your nephew play on an AAU team. This is professional sports. If you are the better team, if you're the stronger team, the bigger team, whatever, you just win the game. If you're the better coach team, the better managed team, you're the team that's better at pitching, hitting, then prove it. Because all you're going to do is move the bar and find another reason to complain about. You don't like 7-game series because it's too long. You're not going to like 3-game series because they're too short. Stop. This is the most fun, the most exciting. We have potential upsets, but by the time this show is over, the Mets might have beaten the Phillies. And the Phillies, to me, are one of the 2 best teams in the National League all season long, them and the Dodgers. You could argue Philly was the best team in the National League, and I think it's exciting as hell that Mets fans are like, hey, we're that team this year. We're the team that is going to potentially upset the Phillies, and maybe we even upset whoever wins the Padres-Dodgers series. That's exciting. Those are storylines. Those are fun and entertaining things to talk about. If we didn't have the playoffs, and this goes for all sports, if we didn't have the playoffs in the formats that we had, we know the best team is already going to win whatever a skewed percentage of time because they're the better team. But do we think the NFL, which is one and done? Now, there's also health reasons why it needs to be one and done. But do we not think the career of Eli Manning is far more fascinating because he got hot for a couple one-and-done stretches, and now he's a 2-time Super Bowl winner instead of just Peyton Manning's little brother? Do we not think the Giants, when they had Tim Lincecum, Madison Bumgarner, a young Buster Posey, when they won 3 out of 5, but it was this win one year, be bad, win one year, be bad. Do we not think that was entertaining and more exciting because they got hot at the right time? Do we not think the last year the St. Louis Cardinals, the Albert Pujols, that run they went on? Look at last year with the Texas Rangers. Look at this year's Mets. Look at this year's Padres going against the big bad Dodgers. And I understand the Padres have a huge payroll too. The Padres have a lot of talent. But if we just made every series best of 7, then we skew the best team to win. They already win at a 60-70% clip. Now we're skewing to win at an 80-90% clip. And this is more fun and exciting for the average fan. And baseball is finally, it's the playoffs. It's the one time of the year they can really shine. They can really they can show how wonderful this game is. And you're going to be the dude crying and complaining because it's a 5-game series, not a 7? I found myself starting to do this, and I realized I went to the Padres. I was watching Padres-Dodgers, some friends last night, and I had a friend had asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, I kind of do think it's weird that it's a 5-game series when you have a 162-game regular season. And I realized, shut up. You just watched a fantastic game. Padres get out to a 6-1 lead. Teoscar Hernandez hits a grand slam to bring it within 1, and that tension that carried over the last 5 innings. I was like, I just watched an amazing baseball game, and I'm going to waste my time sitting here complaining? I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. If you are going to be the fan that complains, guess what? That's probably just who you are, and that's probably who you'll always be. And there's no reason to be that person right now. Baseball's in a great place. This postseason has been amazing. Again, by the time this show is over, we might have the Mets upsetting the Phillies and on their way. And then by the time the night's over, the Mets might be on their way to go play the Padres in 2 teams who both upset the higher-seeded team, and or we have Padres-Dodgers Game 5, and that same kind of excitement that's built up in a Padres-Dodgers Game 7 is there in the Game 5. It's do or die.